ये जो है पास ये ले लेता हूँ। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना,
यशोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना,
यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना,
यशोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना,
यमुना तीरावनचारी,
यमुनातीरावनचारी,
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी,
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी,
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी,
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम
Jaya
Hare Hare,
Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev.
जय जगन्नाथ बल्ले सुधा महारानी की,
Jai,
गौर निताई की,
Jai,
श्री प्रभुपाद की,
Jai,
गुरु महाराज श्रीपद महाराज की,
Jai.
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hari Hari Bol.
अच्छा ये तो हाँ हाँ इसका अच्छा ये कहाँ है हमारा?
क्या
हाँ
चाहिए?
अच्छा ठीक। सो अच्छा आजकल शेयरिंग नहीं होता क्या?
और मॉडरेटर
ठीक है
श्लोक का नंबर कितना?
नो प्रॉब्लम, श्लोक मेरे पास है। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय,
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवते उत्तम श्लोके
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
जय गंधरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की।
जय।
So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 6 Chapter 14, King Chitra Ketu's Lamentation. Text number 13. Okay.
शायद
न तस्य संपदा सर्वा
न तस्य सम्प्रदा सर्वा
ऐश्यो वामलोचना
नश्यलालोचना
सार्वभौमस्य भुश्चेयम्
सार्वभौमस्य स्तेयम्
अभवन् प्रीति हेतवः।
भगवान् प्रीतिहेतवा।
Translation, Marshal Prabhupada. His queens all had beautiful faces and attractive eyes, yet neither his opulence, his hundreds and thousands of queens, nor the lands of which he was the supreme proprietor were sources of happiness for him. Now the lands of which he has remembered were neither is opulence, nor is 100,000 cues, nor the lands of which he was the supreme proprietor, were the sources of happiness for him. Text number 14. तस्य कदा तस्य कदा तु भवनम अंगिरा भगवान ऋषि लोकान अनुचरण एतान उपागच्छा यदृच्छया. Once upon a time, when the powerful sage Angira was traveling all over the universe without engagement, by sweet will he came to the palace of King Chitra Ketu. So Angira was sage Angira. He came to the palace. By sweet will, he came to the palace of King Chitraketu. Text number 15. Tam pujetva vidvat. Tam pujetva vidvat. Pratyudhanartha anartha divihi. Big word, na? Pratyu pratyudhanarana divihi. Kritatithayam upasidat Sukhasinam samahitaha. Chitraketu immediately stood up from his throne and offered him worship. Pujavata Vidivat. He offered drinking water and eatables. In this way, and in this way, performed his duty as a host to a great guest. When the rishi was seated very comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground at the side of the rishi's feet. Upasidat Sukhasinam. Text number 16. O King Parishit, when Chitraketu bent low in humility, was seated at the lotus feet of great sage, the sage congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. Prati Pujya Maharaj, Sambhav Shadayam. The sage addressed him in the following words. So the sage congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. Text number 17. Angira Uvacha. Now the sage is speaking. The great sage Angira said, My dear king, I hope that your body and mind and your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. Your body, your mind, your royal associates and paraphernalia are well. When the seven properties of material nature, the total material energy, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification are in proper order, the living entity within the material elements is happy. Without these seven elements, one cannot exist. Similarly, a king is always protected by seven elements. His instructor, Swami or Guru, number one. Number two, his ministers. Number three, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order, and his friends. purport by Srila Prabhupada. As it is quoted by Sridhar Swami in his Bhagavatam commentary, Swami Amatau Janapada Durga Dramina Sanchaya Dando Mitram Cha Tasyetaha Sapta Prakrtayo Mataha Sapta 7 Sapta Prakrtayo Mataha. A king is not alone. His first he first has his spiritual master, the supreme guide. Then comes his ministers, his kingdom, his fortifications, his treasury, his system of law and order, and his friends or allies. If these seven are properly maintained, the king is happy. Similarly, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino Asmin Yatha Dehe, the living entity, the soul, is within the material coverings of Mahatattva, ego, and Panchamatra, the five objects of sense gratification. When these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in a mood of pleasure. Generally, when the associates of the king are quiet and obedient, the king can be happy. Therefore, the great sage Angira Rishi inquired about the king's personal health and the good fortune of his seven associates. When we inquire from a friend whether everything is well, we are concerned not only with his personal self but also with his family, his source of income, and his assistants or servants. All of them must be well, and then a person can be happy. Okay, so very nice. Saying when these seven are in proper order, the living entity is in the mood of pleasure. Generally, when the associates of king are quiet and obedient, the king can be happy. होमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुन्मृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिस्वरूपदामोदर स्वामिति नामिने नमसा भक्तमनाय मणिपुरोद्भवाय च श्रीलरूपादलसत्वाणी प्रचारिताय ते नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चातदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. जय गुरु महाराज महाराज की जय. So now in this chapter, the Chitra Ketu's Katha narration the is starting. the king who had so many opulence, uh, but still he was unhappy. So this is the nature of this world, uh, nature of this material existence. However, how much one gets, uh, how much soever one may get, he will not be satisfied here. He will never be satisfied. This is very interesting, actually. Those who are intelligent should study this. Why? Why such and such thing like this? Because if you study nicely, understand it properly, then why you learn after these things? It is like nobody wants to be Gadha, na? Like a ass running after something, right? Which he will never get, which he will never satisfy. So that is why understanding, and by mercy of Sri Guru and the Lord, realizing in the heart that this world, whatever one may get, one may acquire, he will not be satisfied. See, the king, as far as we are concerned, we all are very small, ordinary people. But the king himself, he was the king of the whole planet, and he could get anything he wants in terms of material assets. What material assets means? What are material assets? Material asset means four things, as Guranga Mahaprabhu has categorized in a very simple way: Dhanam, Janam, Strim, Kavitam. So whatever of each of these assets one can study very thoroughly, analyze, understand that they are not the one who are going to satisfy me. Dhanam, the money, the opulence; Janam, the sons, daughters, or the disciples, the quantity, number, followers, or the opposite gender, household number. The king had millions of wives, similarly millions of husbands, whatever. And then similarly, our fame. King was already the king of the whole planet. So this is the nature of this world. Suppose you are famous in some area. Okay, I am known in such and such district or such as a city. Then you want to increase your opulence or your fame to further. Uh, I should be known in the whole state or whole country, and then in many countries, then in all countries, and then you go in all other planets, solar system. So like this fame has no end to acquire this fame. Similarly, others also. So it has all the nature. It has different sides. One is that howsoever you get, there is no end. If you get today, we are famous in planet. You want now, because now in our case, our time, there is we don't have much uh, expertise in the earlier. People can go to other planets, right? So once you are famous like Ravana, you are established in the planet, then you want to go to conquer other planets. So it has no end. Finally, you want to conquer the whole universe, be famous in whole universe, like previous. narrations we have. So like this. Similarly, money also. If you have 1 crore, you want 5 crore. You have 5 crore, you want 10 crore. You have 10 crore, you have 20 crore. You have 20, you have 50, 50, 100. Then you see, oh, there are people of 1,000 crores. Then like this, everything is like this. If you have one wife, you want two. If you have two, you want 5, 10, 20, 100, 1,000. And similarly, followers. So, and the interesting part is, one is, okay, you want more and more. The more interesting part is to realize, to understand that one will be never satisfied by this, how much he gets. Like in a scholarly world, you publish paper or get a high position, that also no end. If you get one Nobel Prize, you want second Nobel Prize, because there are also people who got two Nobel Prizes. Like what is the famous name, who got peace and also in chemistry or some two Nobel Prize. So like this. So this is the nature here. So knowing this, understanding this, and realizing this, if one analytically, thoughtfully, properly knows this, understands this, then why he will like to become foolish, to run after something which he will not be satisfied at all. So that is one part. So Chitraketu, King Chitraketu is not satisfied. The second part is which the humility of the king, the way it teaches nicely the shloka which we just read. Shloka number. See how he received and how he inquired. This is our Vedic culture, to how to how to get knowledge. Uh, Sevaya, right? Seva. It is not like in our modern culture, theoretical, modern scientific culture. It's not that one gives lecture, one inquires, and that's all. That's how you get knowledge. No, this is not the way. You read books and you inquire. That is good. It is useful, but that is not actually the full way of getting the knowledge in spiritual culture. One can see how Chitraketu, because actually in our Vedic culture, these kings are not ordinary kings. They are Raj Rishi. They are saintly kings. They know Vedic culture. They know Vedic wisdom. And that is why they are able to in touch with the exalted saints also. Not ordinary people can get not in touch with these people. Narad Muni coming, it's not ordinary thing. So they know this. Uh, one can learn from their behavior, their culture. Uh, Means we can learn. At least we all can learn uh, how he's receiving, how he's inquiring. So uh, receiving him properly, uh, expressing the the king. That's why the sage was pleased with the humility and the hospitality. It is said nicely, na? Because uh, if your mood is not good, the person will not be interested to give you knowledge or speak to you or instruct you. Unless the proper mood is there, uh, you will not be interested. Person will not be interested, because the person there is already liberated. Means the saints and exalted devotees of the Lord, they do not need anything. They just say, no, it came by his own will. They don't need anything from the whole kingdom or from anybody, because their source of happiness is somewhere else. So whatever assets one has, talent, education, degrees, knowledge, papers, money, and beautiful body, face, or house, or car, or bank balance, because our heart is attracted to this, so we feel that the person or the other person also is attracted to this. No, no, no. That's not the case. The saints and sages, the exalted people, they are not attracted to all this. That's nothing for them because they know these are not the things which are going to satisfy me. And they realize it also, not just knowing theoretically. So, so that is why when when one approaches with a nice mood, that's why Bhagavad Gita explains nicely, na? Very simply, very nicely. Tad vidi pranipratena pariprashrina seva. Updeshanti te jnanam. Jnanam tattva darshina. Jnana tattva darshina. So with that nice mood, uh, then one will get instruction, direction. And then he feels that, okay, there is an eligible candidate. He can get something. He will spend time on this person. Otherwise, otherwise there is no need to waste time. If somebody is very not in good shape, good mood, good proper attitude, that's how spiritual master also, Shri Guru also, he he does not give time, so much time to everybody, because by the blessings of the Lord, he knows what will fructify, what will not fructify. So if one is getting some time, one should take as a great blessings of the Lord. That Lord is favoring me, actually. So this is second thing to learn from this, and to understand. And the last in this part, lastly, uh, the conversation started. Once the mood is properly set, one is ready to follow what is being asked, not just asking. One should, before asking, one should be clear that I am going to follow. So if king doesn't follow, sage will be angry, right? So so that mood is set properly, and then the sage started speaking. So he is expressing that how you are doing. He knows. You see, the face, just the face itself, they say, na, face is the index. Just by seeing the face, though you may have everything, but your anxiety, your worries, everything get reflected very easily on your face. So, so they can see, and also by Lord's blessing, devotees can know He is there in his heart also. So, like this, so he is inquiring, are you well? All your things are well. Your health is well. Your kingdom is well. Uh, your so you see, he does not have one thing, just sons. Son, he has no son, so he is worried. So one will see this is a very nice drashtant, or a nice um, narration. How it will be very beautiful. How the king, how the sage blesses him with a material blessing of a son. Eventually, that material become blessing. Eventually, the son also leaves, dies, and then how the king is relieved from his material conceptions, material attachments, material affiliations. So it's a very beautiful narration to learn, to understand. In fact, wherever the exalted devotees of the Lord, like Narad Muni will come also later when the son dies. It is a very famous narration, Chitraketu's Katha. So whenever exalted devotees like Narad Muni and all our acharyas, previous acharyas, when they are there, you can be certain that they They will cut our knots. So all our worries in this world, anxieties, lamentation, are mostly to get something of this world, or we are not getting, or whatever. So when they are there, their presence, the instructions, their guidance purifies us. If we execute them, we will be thoroughly purified. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. So one should consider it's not very ordinary what we are getting, what we have got. Uh, Even after long contemplation, research, search, one will realize that what we are getting is actually the epitome, the perfection, well, of the guidance, the knowledge we are getting. After searching the whole universe, one will realize this is such a gem, such a precious gem we are getting. And what we are running after, then one will realize what I have been running after this such a ordinary things which are which are promoted in modern society at the top, uh, which are actually have no value, because very simple fact, everything which we aspire to get in this world, in this life, is connected to this body, and once the body is finished, your all aspirations are gone, your papers are gone, your company position is gone, your family is gone, your parents are gone, everything is connected to this body. When your car is gone, your laptop is gone, everything is gone, because once the body is finished, you suppose one becomes a cow, then how will he drive the car? How will he use the mobile, the hi-fi mobile, right? Or laptop, XYZ, whatever. So this knowledge which we are getting from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, uh, by the blessings of our Guru and Acharyas, is unparalleled. Either one accepts, or if he wants to do research himself, he'll come to this conclusion after years of research and study, and then he will feel extremely grateful that I have got such a wisdom, such a direction of life. So eventually our Chitraketu Maharaj ji, he will also undergo this. So we stop here for today. It's already 8:35 crossing. So that short is enough for us for today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry. If anyone is having any question, they can raise the hand. Yeah, Balramji, please.
Hare Krishna. Okay, somebody there.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Balaram ji. Hare Krishna. Today is your day.
Not my day, Maharaji. It is Nityananda Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
I have this question. In the purport of this last sloka that you discussed, Mahat Tattva is also one of the component of the body, but in this purport, Prabhupada wrote that this Mahat Tattva should also be in proper order for the person to be in pleasure. So how this Mahat Tattva plays its role? Because Mahat Tattva contains the, let's say, karma from previous life. If somebody is born with some defects or something, then he will be continuously getting the pain from until he dies from the because of this previous karma. But otherwise, Mahat Tattva one cannot change, I guess. But how, I mean, we consider that Mahat Tattva plays its role in someone's pleasure.
Okay. Balaramji asked very. Yeah, I have not gone deep into this purport. I have not discussed deep this purport. You see, Math Tattva is not an ordinary thing to understand, and probably we will not able to understand it. Some very small fraction we can try to get a glimpse. As it's not an ordinary thing, because just our mind, we don't understand, right? Do we understand our mind?
Yes, Maharaj. Here in the Papat, maybe I will check that.
Huh?
Here in the Papat,
Uh,
Prabhupada wrote,
uh,
similarly, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, the living entity, the soul is within the material covering of Mahatattva, ego, and Tanmatras.
right.
When these seven are in proper order,
Yeah.
the living entity is in a mood of pleasure.
Right.
So that means ego is, we can understand if someone's ego is satisfied, then he is happy.
Yeah.
And Panchatanmatras, those are also clear. But Mahatattva, how it plays its role.
Yeah, means it becomes very deep, difficult to comprehend from ordinary minds like us. It's some we can try, like I'll try to give some idea, but it's not easy, because the very first element, you see, first is our gross senses, right? The eyes, the ears, the nose, and all, right, which we can see, touch, and feel it right away, and there's no doubt that they are there. Then little further you go, there are 5 sense objects, right? The smell, taste, right? Vision, the form. So these become little subtle already. In modern science, we don't comprehend them actually. If you see, uh, they become already very subtle enough for us to comprehend. The taste is not just the molecular combination happening on the tongue. There's a lot there in the taste. The smell, so smell is not just the molecules touching each other and reaching the nose. No, there's much more than the smell. Is this itself is deep enough. So this 5 sense objects, 5 objects of sense gratification, which Prabhupada is saying, so they are the second one. Means second in the sense, what happens is at different places in our scriptures, sometimes we are calling them 5, sometimes 7, sometimes 13, depending on the context, depending on the requirement. But the whole thing is there, whole big family is there. You are in a bag of big family of these elements. Means we, you means we, all of us. So then second is this 5 sense, get 5 objects of senses, and then they are already subtle and we don't comprehend them, and then comes the mind, right? So mind is the king of all these subtle senses, right? So the mind, as when comes to the mind, it becomes very difficult. We have no equation, no physics to understand this mind, but we can feel that there is something called mind, because our mind always directs us, troubles us, right? So some direction is there, something we can talk, something we can, but physics we don't understand at all. We have no equation, we have no understanding of its composition, and it probably is very difficult to a great extent. So that's why scriptures explain it very simply and nicely, so that one can, instead of understanding physics of it, one can understand the working of it and come out of this, instead of wasting time of life. Then comes the intelligence, which is still subtler, which is very difficult to understand. One may be very intelligent person, but still he doesn't understand what is intelligence. One may not be able to understand. Understanding, when I'm saying using the word understanding, means full understanding, fully as its constitution, its equation, physics of it, whatever, everything. Some idea one can get, like how I'm giving the logic to my thing which I want to do, which I don't want to do, I give logic. So intelligence, some aspects one can understand. Then comes the false ego, right? The ahankar. So and then so false ego we understand to some extent, but it's a very deep, deep in the sense, if you go materially, it is uh, 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 like if you go from materially bottom up approach, it becomes very difficult to comprehend these things. But from top it is very easy. But for that, for top down, one should be at the top. Then only you can have top down approach. Understanding means uh, the basic requirement as much as we need for this human life to get out of these elements, basically. So then false ego, but it actually, for simplicity, it is said like this. So 8 elements or 40, 15 elements or 22 elements. But then there are further details. This like Mahat Tattva, then further Pradhan, right? So those things are beyond the comprehension of human mind. For example, not only just ego is there, if you want to get some ideas, like one has many tendencies, one as one progress spiritual life, one will realize, like controlling. It's not good to go too much understanding of this also, one will himself realize better. Means there are things above ego also. Look, so the Mahatattva means, for a simple understanding one can see, is that what you call, the material influence, the material engagement are is still there. So unless one is free from all this, uh, he cannot be under the full shelter of the Lord. So some basic idea one can get, uh, but nevertheless, I think we should be simple and satisfied with whatever little we get. Too much may not be possible to comprehend, understand this, and it's not required also that much. Okay.
Yes, yes, Maharaj. So what I was thinking, so we have the Karan Sarir, and above the Karan Sarir, we have this Mahat Tattva. And Mahat Tattva actually contains, I think, something with related to Prarabdha. Because in Karan Sarir, we have the Sanchit Karma and Agami Karma, as well as, Prarabdha is coming towards Mahat Tattva. So that means in Mahat Tattva, whatever Prarabdha we are going to enjoy or suffer, that will be coming out from Mahat Tattva. So maybe that's why Mahat Tattva is important, or that's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
Yeah, means to accept our limits of understanding is also knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, na? So I think we should try to be simple and understand our limits. It's not so easy, and also not required to get that much. Actually, uh, if I enter, it is a, for me also I have a limit. Also, comprehension itself is a limit, because we are still in the body, na.
Mm.
And see, this psychology, na, psychology has many layers inside. What we study in modern psychology is a really very, very superficial way, the way it is taught, the way it is understood. There are layers and layers inside. So as one moves further in journey, spiritual journey of purification, he will see the things unfolding. So better not to try to too much understanding. Theoretical, that much may not be necessary, and it's not required also. This much.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
So,
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Das Anudas.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj, you explain all these heavy things, math tattva and all. I think it will be good.
No, actually, I like Guru Maharaj's style you are using. You are simplifying everything to fundamentals, and that's why I relish actually. We do forget when we describe the subtle body. There's something subtler than the subtle body, because subtle body gets separated at the time of total dissolution. The buddhi becomes separated, mind becomes separated, everything. Until the Mahapralaya, these remain connected to us, to the soul. Only the gross body is vanished, but the subtle body remains until the complete dissolution. In complete dissolution, mana, buddhi, ahankar, everything, this subtle body, it becomes separated, but still it remains with something, which is called our Balramji likes to say Karan Sharir. So how we define Karan Sharir? Karan means which causes, something which envelops the living entity, subtler than the intelligence, ego, and everything. That never comes in the context. So one wonders how the soul exists in Mahavishnu when everything becomes amalgamated, all the tattvas become separated, and the living entity still survives because it has not attained the attraction to the absolute. And because of that avidya, Karan Sharir, another name is avidya. How you define avidya? It is subtler than intelligence. It is due to avidya that ego comes in picture, misidentification, and that I am this material. The matter identification is so strong that the even material intelligence, which Krishna, Shukdev Goswami describes in 1087 too. It's one of the very scientific slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, is from modern point of view, where Krishna says that Shukdev Goswami says, what is that sloka? The Buddhi Indriya Mane Prana Dhyanam Jananam Asrijit Prabhu Matrartham che Bhavartham che Atmani Kalpitasya che Kalpitaya che, something like that. So he's describing that when the new creation takes place, all these things are added to the living entity. But the foundation is this avidya, which has to ultimately live. So in order to make it possible for us to free ourselves from avidya, again and again this material intelligence, body, sharir, सब कुछ दिया जाता है कि कभी आप जैसे साधु संग पाकर उसका ध्यान ऊपर चला जाए, यहाँ से हटकर. So all we are discussing here is a divine grace. Otherwise, avidya, it will haunt us. It has just become, and we don't, in the whole thing, we discuss mind, intelligence, and everything. But intelligence, how, if something is subtler than intelligence, how can intelligence catch it, correct? So the avidya has to be addressed, and that is only possible in sadhu sangha. If we think beyond this material envelopment of subtle body and the gross body, our consciousness has to connect to the divine grace of Sri Guru and Gauranga and Krishna. Then alone, this avidya will leave us. Otherwise, how it will survive? Because as we described, tatastha means it has to be sheltered somewhere. So even when it is sheltered in Mahavishnu, it has to satta. इसकी जो सत्ता है ना जीवात्मा की सत्ता अविद्या के साथ ही है इस भौतिक जगत में. It has yet to attain its swarup. Although we say that Jive Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, in his identity, the identity has to be gained, it has to be realized. And that is only possible when we are connected to the divine grace. आपके ही शब्दों को रिपीट किया हमने तो.
नहीं क्यों रिपीट. अच्छा explanation दिया महाराज, अच्छा explain किया आप. Nice.
Hare Krishna Maharaj ji. Dandavat pranam.
Pranam.
Maharaj ji, shall we take one more question or?
Yeah, we can take quick question. In 5 minutes, we will stop. 9 o'clock, we should definitely
Okay.
stop. Okay, even if the answer is half.
Hare
Yeah, it's
Krishna.
because the
Yes,
brain, my
Chitra ji,
brain,
please.
my metato of my brain is not very strong, so I cannot take too much. Yeah, carry on. Let us take one.
Yeah, Chitra ji, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Dandavat.
Dandavat pranam.
So Maharaj, this like we are some discussion is like about avidya. Like Maharaj was telling, because of this avidya, we are connected to this material world, our false identity. So now, when someone is becoming a devotee and he is reading Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, from 2.13, he's describing that this about this body and about all these things, and we have been reading. So now theoretically we know we are not this body. So what is the difference between the theoretical devotee and practically realized devotee? That we read every day, we chant every day, but still when those things, the intricacies of the spiritual life, means when person comes to that level, how it comes, like we read, but still it's like the avidya is there.
Very good. Very nice. Our Achita Prabhu, a lot of wisdom. Well, theoretical understanding is necessary. It is important. At the same time, it is not sufficient. Like in mathematics, you have a condition, necessary but not sufficient. Necessary but sufficient, like this. So theoretical knowledge is very much necessary because Krishna is giving all this for us, taking all these troubles, standing in the war, and dealing with all these different kinds of, completely different kinds of minds. So he's taking the trouble. Similarly, our Guru and Acharyas, so much trouble they are taking to get this knowledge. So this knowledge is very important. So theoretical part is very necessary, but it is not sufficient. Like for example, in modern science, we have Einstein's general theory of relativity. So Einstein gave this theory of relativity in a form of big equations, tensors, right? But then unless one sees, observes it, have experiment, practical demonstration somewhere, it will not be still considered very strong. So it is necessary theoretical understanding, but at the same time it will be insufficient. So eventually when we saw how the space-time curvature is going on by this planet movement, some observations are there. Same like in quantum world also, theoretical predictions were there for the particles, bosons, right? But then in the sun lab you see something. How much is real? They see how much, that is a different question. But anyway, some practical aspect is required. So theoretical is, so similarly in spiritual journey, theoretical thing is necessary, but it is not sufficient. So, but that is why pariprashrina sevaya, when one engage in the service of his master, means service of the Lord. That is why when Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, someone professor came to ask something, he said, 9 o'clock. So he said, you wash his utensils first. He's a big professor, and Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada is asking to wash utensils of the deity. So this theoretical understanding, so the difference will come. One difference is that When you realize something, then your life will be molded as per that direction, as per that. It is no more just a theory. It becomes actualized, practicalized in your personal life. Means, if I really understand the human form of life is so important, so precious, then how can I give this life for anything else other than service to Sri Guru and Gauranga? That is the idea. That is the basic step of practical realization, understanding that one is maturing enough that, okay, I will take it. Now the step has to be taken practically. And then one, after he is actualizing this knowledge in his personal life, in a sense of dedicating his journey, his life, which is so short, so rare, so precious, and to dedicate for the service of the Lord, at least this life, not to become too much miser. Already thousands of life we have been doing what we want to do in this life again. So at least one life you give Baba. So then that means the person is moving towards realization. Then eventually, when he moves in that direction, more and more things will come out in his behavior, in his actions, in his words. Everything will come out. Slowly, there will be, as I was saying the other day, there will be changes in his behavior, in his goals, in his activities, in his dealings, everything. So the theory which we are listening, the theoretical knowledge, understanding which we are listening, it will be actualized. So when you say, for example, Dain Asmin, so then what is the practical utilization of that? Means, if I am really a servant of God, so what a servant of God should do? Can servant, if I say I am your servant, what does it mean? Servant of God means I have no my personal goals. I have no my planning of personal pursuits. Whatever my master say, I will do. That is a practicalization of that theoretical knowledge. So like that, it has further and further details. It gets actualized in life. Uh, then dealings with the master, with the seniors, everything, it will come. It will go on and on and on. And then finally, final practical will be when we go there. So like this. So we finished for today. We have already crossed 1 minute more, and that's all.
Thank you, Maharaji.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Maharaji. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you all for joining. We are concluding the class for the day. His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Rajendra Kumar Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai Guru Maharaj, Shripad Maharaj ki jai. All the assembled Maharaj ki jai. All the Vaishnavas ki jai ho. All Premanande, Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.